I hope you're having a good start to your morning, and if not, hopefully this practice will help you do so. So what I'm doing this morning is actually a practice that I shared with my class this Tuesday, and I really wanted to record it for them to be able to practice it, and just to give you a taste of what a Tuesday night class here at the studio is like. So let's go. Okay, so let's start in child's pose. I'm going to do this way, I think. Now, if you're not comfortable on your knees, there are variations of this, so don't feel like you have to be sitting on your heels like I am. Some people prefer to have their butt in the air and on their forearms for child's pose and just rest your head between your hands. That's also an option. So in traditional child's pose, we have the tailbone moving towards the heels, long through the arms. Again, if this is not comfortable, you can always take the arms in closer to the body. You just want to make sure you can rest your head somewhere. So if your head isn't reaching the floor, use a block or pillow. And one of the things I told myself I would do this morning is not talk as much. So we'll be in child's pose. Just rest and breathe. Feel the back body, kind of pouring around all sides of the body. And relax and let go. Last few deep breaths in child's pose. And then making your way onto all fours. So here, making sure wrists are under shoulders directly, or maybe slightly in front of, and knees directly down from hips. And make sure that you're not locked through the arms like you're trying to keep the floor away from you to save your life. Relate to the floor. Keep the floor your friend. Keep a little micro bend in your elbows. So here I'm just going to invite you to do any kind of movement that feels good. So, traditionally we do cat-cow here with the arching and flattening of the back. Breathing in as we bring the chest through, exhaling as we round. But you can also explore some turning towards the hips to look back at the hips, maybe even bringing the hips toward the head, or any other kind of circular movement you'd like to try here. So again, I'll be quiet and I'll just let you explore. Now I'm going to ask you to make circles with your head and hips, so you're going to take them in the same direction. So as you bring your head down, your hips will come down off to whichever side you're bringing your head, and then up and around. So just feel, don't worry so much whether or not you're getting it. This can feel a little discombobulating if you've never done it before. The important thing is to recognize and sense the connection of head to tail, the relationship. And it feels wonderful through the waist. And then go the other direction. Good, then resting back into child's pose. Coming back up onto all fours, transitioning to your bottom. let's see, let me face this way. So we're going to have the legs out in front and grab hold under the thighs. You can, if you prefer, hold on to the tops of your knees. And again, we're just going to work a little through the back. So if you notice, this is how I usually tell you not to sit, rounded out, but we're going to actually move through this rounded position and then up into a slight extension. So flexing forward with the breath, breathing in as you come forward, and repeat with the breath. You're welcome to hold a position, feeling the lengthening through all of the back tissues and along the sides of the spine, maybe even into the shoulders or side of the neck. And likewise, you can hold here in the front, feeling the shoulder blades coming towards each other, opening through the chest. Maybe even feeling it in the lower back a little. So just going in between those two places. Feeling free to speed up or slow down. The other thing you can do is you can place your hands or your fingertips behind you with a little bit of weight, but try to keep the weight equal on pelvis, fingers, and feet. Stay aware of your feet, and then again bringing the chest through and bending elbows to round through the back. This is just an alternative and or just something else to try. Hopefully you'll feel some warmth starting to develop in the spine if you haven't already from the cat-cow we were doing on the knees. This is, for people especially who can't be on their knees, this is a really good alternative to working the back and the spine like this. But it's also a different sensation. So you have both opportunities to help free up the spine. And then coming back upright, just take a moment of sitting still. Notice if any tension is built up around the groin, which is common because we're possibly holding our legs in this position. So let's just open the legs into cobbler or butterfly. I'll turn this way slightly. So you can have the heels away from you, or you can bring them in. It's up to you. Just find a light sensation here. We're going to hold and breathe. And feel free to come deeper into it or around the back, over the legs, if that is something you desire. Or I should say something your body desires, because there's a definite distinction there. And coming back up, we're going to put the feet as they were in front, knees bent, fingertips behind. You're just going to let the knees, actually let's start with one knee. Just let one knee drop open. And you're rolling from the foot onto the edge, outside edge of the foot. So just moving slowly, feeling the articulation through the hip as it rotates out. And then if you'd like, you can start to drop both knees to one side, or open both. Any and all exploration. And your knees may or may not fall to the side completely. If they don't, you might want to explore what would need to happen for that to happen, in terms of moving this top thigh away from the body and lifting through that outside hip. So often we think we're not flexible, and it's really not so much that we're not flexible, it's that we haven't found ways to, we haven't found how movement happens or can happen. So that's why this exploration can be really helpful. You know, flexibility isn't necessarily about being able to bring your legs behind your head. Flexibility is really about finding ways, discovering ways to move. And so it can be nice, as if you're trying the opening of the legs variation, to start a little pelvic tilt towards the feet, and then as you bring them back to round, just feels really good, so you might want to try that. Okay, and then sitting back upright for a moment and just feeling something. Deep breath. that was really good for the groin. So let's come on to our bellies. And take your time here to just arrive to feel this new position of the body. Find what's comfortable for you, whether you want your arms around your head or down alongside your body, head on the forehead or cheek just for the moment. Have a little bit of back tension as I usually do in the morning. So just feel free to massage yourself, to rock and feel the length of your thighs, connected to the ground, tops of your feet. If this isn't comfortable, you can always flex your toes and have your feet in this position, or have some kind of a bolster or blanket under your ankles. It's all about the comfort. Just take some breaths here and feel the belly in connection and other front body parts in connection with the ground. Okay. And we're going to bring the hands up to the head and rest one cheek. I'm going to face the camera so you can hear me. And then what you're going to do is the direction that you're looking, you're just going to lift that leg, bringing that heel in towards your buttocks. Tighten and then release. And when you release, make sure you release completely. Sometimes we have a tendency to know, okay, I have to do that again. The muscle holds on to the memory. Just let it go. And repeat that several times at your own pace, tensing and releasing. Now, when I say tense, I don't want you to bring it up and go, okay, squeeze up there. Just let it come up. Just bring it as far as it will go, and then release back down to the ground. Completely. And then rest for a moment. Just feel any sensation in that leg that might compare or contrast to the other. And if you'd like, you can always flex the feet, bring the knees off the ground as you reach away from the heels, or with the heels, I should say. And that's a nice little break. And we'll go to the other side. So I'm going to turn my head away. You know what to do. Just bring your heel towards buttocks and release. And last time, release to the floor. Again, just noticing what you sense. Now we're going to just lift one leg off the ground. Same side you're turning your head towards. Just lift. You're not bending your leg, you're not bending your knee. Check in with your hip bones. Just notice how you may rock to one side. Maybe you feel the heads of both hip bones on the ground. Just notice. And lower, release completely. Repeat a few times. Become aware of where you may be gripping. Last time. And pause. Again, feeling difference between right and left, but we're going to stay on that same leg. And this time you're going to lift, and you're going to cross over the midline of the body towards the other side. So as you do that, notice that your hip will come off the ground of that leg. It has to. And then lower. So you're going to feel a twist through the body, possibly even an opening all the way up into the region of the ribs, upper ribs. So lift and cross. And actually, why don't you open your arms to a T on this next one. So lifting, crossing over. This will free up that front shoulder and down. Release completely. So again, at your own pace. And don't forget in between to completely release. And then pause, the pauses are just as important as the movement. It's not about doing 1,000,000 reps. It's really about increasing your awareness, your interoceptive perception. That's almost what do you call it? Okay, so let's change the head to the other side. And start just by lifting the leg, not crossing over. Okay, and then after 3 or 4 times, you can cross the midline with the leg. Good. Resting back in the center, just feeling, maybe taking the toes back, reaching away with the heels, or rocking the hips side to side. Let's push back into a child's pose. Again, feel free to be on your forearms if that's more comfortable. Okay, coming back onto the belly. We just have a little bit more to do here, and then we'll flip over. Okay, so having the arms out again. This time, you're going to lift the leg, bend the knee, and reach over. So now we're putting everything that we've done together. The lifting, the bending of the knee, and the crossing over. And you can hold here, or you can just move back and forth through. And it can even be nice to reach behind you or up towards the ceiling with that front arm. Deep breath. And back at your own pace, just working through that. Make sure you come back and release completely. Let's try a couple to the other side as well. So So finishing up for yourself on one side or the other there. Rocking your hips when you come back to center. Maybe reaching away with the heels again. If you would like, we can take a little cobra or a sphinx here. Now the sphinx you have here on your forearms with the elbow right under the shoulder. With the cobra, you have your hands right under your shoulder. You don't have to come up far. And then we will come onto our backs. Actually, do we want to? You know what? Let's do a child's pose again first. So press back into child's. And then from the child's coming back onto all fours, we'll come up into a downward dog. So reaching and opening the back thighs. I don't know if you could hear that, I was talking into my shirt. Now, don't worry about your knees being bent. They should be a little. You can, you can work through your calves if you would like. You might experiment with how far apart your feet are. That will create a different sensation through the back of the legs. You might try turning the heels or the feet in slightly and discover what that might feel like for yourself. The thing with downward dog is I often see people either have too much weight on their arms and not enough weight towards the back. So you really, if you're finding yourself over, with all the weight on your wrists, you're going to have to bring your hips back, and that's going to drop your spine down. And of course we want to feel as though the back, that lower back, is opening up as well. So sometimes the other thing that goes on is this, and I'm guilty of it, kind of disconnecting my back at the middle back. And I'm holding this, but feel free to come down and go up and come down and go up as often as you'd like. Notice where you may be pushing away from the floor and see if you can relate back to the floor. Soften and relate to the floor. And you can release that. Come back onto the heels for a moment. Sitting in heroes or rock pose, depending on your tradition. And if you're not comfortable sitting this way, you can sit on a chair, you can sit in easy pose with your staff pose with your legs in front of you. We won't be here long. We're going to be going into some lunges next. And my wrists are feeling it, so I'm going to give a little bit of work through my wrists. Feel free to make some circles. Both directions. And then shaking out the hand. Okay, so now we're going to step into lunges. So let's start with the left leg. So you're going to come up into a square lunge, nothing too deep. And then just begin to allow the hips to come forward, especially this back hip. Really try to bring it around to the front. And then you can either stay and hold there or just come back and forth gently. And if this is uncomfortable for the knee that's on the ground, you can always put a blanket or something under that knee to provide a little more cush. Feel free, if you'd like, to bring your fingertips to the ground. The other thing you want to make sure is that this knee here in the front is not going way over the toes. Okay, that's too far over my toes. So you might have to bring this foot a little more forward if your lunge is deeper. We want really the knee somewhere over the ankle or so. And feel free to explore whether you like to pick up your toes here and flex the foot. That can create some more intensity through the thigh. But remember, we're not really going for intensity so much as comfortable sensation. Okay, and then let's switch and go to the other side. So bringing that leg back, and we'll bring the other leg front. And starting just to find your way here, so maybe some slight rocking. Really allowing that tailbone to drop. Fingertips to the ground, an option. Flexing the back toes if you like. Lengthening through the spine and releasing. Back into rock pose or hero's pose. Just take a moment to check in with sensation. We're going to do another set of lunges to each side and start to free up the upper body and explore some movement with the lunge. Okay, so when you're ready, coming into another left leg lunge. And I'm going to turn slightly this way so you can see what I'm going to have you do. So we're going to explore bringing the arm of the back leg over that thigh in a little bit of a twist here, bringing the back, the shoulder that is now in the back further towards the back. And we will alternate that with bringing this front arm to the floor, and now the arm behind you through that arm. And you can open and close that. And then you can come back and explore arm over thigh. You have some resistance between the hand and the knee, so the knee is pushing into the forearm, the arm is pushing back into the knee. So don't think pose so much and shape. It's more about the sensation and feeling those cross lines of tissue and fascia. You can also come back to the back leg, lengthening the front leg to get more of a stretch through possibly the calf. Some might feel it more in the hamstring. So this is just your choice. Good, and then let's come back onto the knees, or heels rather. Just feel that side of the body now, that left side. And just notice, what do you feel? Does it feel more alive? Does it feel longer? Softer, smoother? Who knows? How would you describe it? My lower back is loving this. Okay, I'm going to turn this way just so I'm open to you. So come into your right leg lunge now. And again, just exploring the movement of crossing this, the arm of the bent back leg over the front knee. And opposing that forearm with the knee and resisting with the forearm. Coming into a twist, bringing that back shoulder open. And then supporting yourself with that front arm, taking the arm back around and through that arm. And even opening it to the sky. So any variation thereof of those movements. Holding or flowing. to come back onto your knees or heels. And let's take another down dog here. Take your time. We will step forward towards the hands. You can have your knees very bent here for a deep forward fold. Bringing the trunk slightly over the left leg. And slightly over the right. Back to center. Bring your tail down as you bend deep. And then round yourself up so your weight is right over the center as you come up. Okay, let's just do a little bit of balancing. It's going to be nothing too structured. So what I'd like you to do is start just by, let's start in mountain pose so we can kind of get a sense of where we are standing today. So your feet about hip width apart, arms relaxed at your sides. Try to find a neutral pelvis so you're neither tucking it under nor sticking it out. And move your attention towards your feet. Allow your toes to spread and hug the mat or carpet or surface you're on. Maybe feeling slightly more weight towards the front of the feet. The heels just lightly touching. Long through the body, through the spine. Allowing the shoulders to just give into gravity rather than pushing them down awkwardly. Feeling an opening through the chest, again without doing anything awkward with the shoulders. And just here, imagine someone coming up to you to see whether they could push you over or not. You might even test yourself a little. If a force came at you from the front, would you be able to maintain your balance? What about if something came at you from behind? So just play with this sensation of something putting you off your balance slightly, and notice how your body would have to respond. And can you allow yourself to be so grounded, so rooted and supported by the floor and your bones, that there wouldn't have to be a big response from the body? And once you get a sense of, the energy of you really, it's an energetic allowing of our energy to move in towards the ground and root. Once you have that sensation, then you can start to shift your weight over onto, let's say, the left leg. Now, as you do, I want you to be aware that you're not sitting in this hip. You want to stand nice and tall on your standing leg. And then just lift that right leg off the ground. And we're not trying to bring it into the tree pose or anything for now and today. And just begin to let that leg kind of float and drift wherever it will. And just notice what happens with the standing leg and any other sensation anywhere else in the body. And you know, if you need a chair, something to hold on to, chair or wall, there's absolutely no shame in that whatsoever. You know, people sometimes think, oh, I can't use that. It makes it too easy. That's not what it's about, you know. You might be able to find and discover more if you feel more stable. And feel free to go as big as you want with this, all you yogis out there. Can you explore some of the freedom of the upper body from the lower body? So, you know, we're having to root in order to keep our balance. That frees up the trunk. So you should feel quite light through everything else, and you can explore with arms overhead or elsewhere. And again, just make sure you're not sinking into that hip. And yes, my standing leg is not locked. There's a little bend in my knee to protect that joint. Okay, and so let's bring that knee around to the front, give it a little hug into the center of the body, and release. I released that quick because I was losing my balance. Okay. Now, I don't know how this other side will be because this is not my strong side. So again, you might have one side that's quite different than the other. But we'll start just by going back to mountain pose. First, feel what you feel. Like my foot feels really worked out right now. Notice where you feel this sensation. So spreading the toes, checking where your energy is, letting that energy plunge. And at the same time it plunges, there's a lift. So see if you can feel both. Checking for a neutral pelvis, neither tucked under nor sticking out. Shoulders relaxed. Shifting weight to the right foot. Again, finding that nice tall stance in this hip. And then just exploring some movement with the leg first, and then you can add the arms. And again, using a chair or wall. You know, what happens if you look in different places? If you look directly ahead, it can be really helpful to stabilize you if you focus on one point. If you look down, it might be a completely different sensation. If you look up, again, quite different. So feel free to explore with where your eyes are looking as well. And it doesn't have to be a big movement, but if you want to make a bigger movement, go for it. then we'll take that knee back around to the front, give it a little squeeze, and release. Shake out the legs and the arms. Now again, stand in mountain pose and just feel any sensations now. My legs feel super worked out. And it is time for a well-deserved Shavasana. So let's take the arms out and overhead. And come into a forward fold. Bending the knees, bringing the feet to the ground. Onto your back. Knees bent to start, just a minute or so in constructive rest as we feel the body release. And then you can lengthen one leg at a time, or keep the legs bent if you prefer, or have something under your knees. Make sure that your chin isn't jutting back if you need a blanket or something for your head. That will make all the difference. So allow your body to keep releasing and surrendering toward the floor. Allow stress, tension, worry, anything from your week to steam out the hands and feet and even top of head. Relax your face, all those little muscles around the eyes, ears, jaw. Tongue. Really allow full breaths to take place. Let the breath move into places it hasn't been in a long time. Be grateful for a moment of peace and stillness. Something so accessible if we just give ourselves the time to experience it. So bringing some movement to fingers and toes when you're ready. And if you're not ready, you can stay where you are. Taking a long body stretch if you'd like, by tightening all the muscles around the bones and then lengthening. And release. Feel free to bring the knees to the chest, to do a little supine twist if you like. Or just roll onto one side, come into a fetal position. I saw a beautiful, I think it was from Yoga Journal, but I'm not entirely sure about that. But it was an article about Shavasana and you know, it being corpse pose, which is related to, of course, our death. But that when we come into this fetal position, this is, you know, we die to the person we were and all the worries and stresses and beliefs and things that, you know, the troubles that we've experienced. And then we are from this point, this lovely little curled up position, we are reborn into a new day, a new self. So, happy birthday. Okay, whew, that's some funny hair, that is, I can see. Okay, so thank you for joining me this morning. I just want to give a couple announcements, and that's about the Tranquil Living Tribe, which is a website that I've created that has exclusive content. It has these videos after the live, because I take them off Facebook and that's where I put them, with the sound enhanced. And it has a lot of other free courses, including a chair yoga course, which I've included. Membership is really inexpensive and there are a lot of benefits. So if you want to check that out, it's the Tranquil Living Tribe. I'll put the link in the description here after the video has uploaded fully. And what else? Yeah, visit my YouTube channel. I've got a lot of free videos over there for your viewing pleasure. And my website is dlcsco.com. And anything else? I think I've said what I need to say. So Let's rub the hands together. Bringing the hands to the chest. Take a deep breath in with me, please. Hold the breath. And release. And we'll tune out together. Breathing in. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Om. Thank you. Have a pleasant day.